Now, it goes without question for those that are actual fans of the Jeepers Creepers franchise are very excited and cannot wait to see Jeepers Creepers Reborn, as there's no doubt that by the looks of what's going on behind the scenes, Jeepers Creepers Reborn right now is seemingly shaping out to be everything we've always wanted for Jeepers Creepers 3 to be. However, here today we have some very interesting behind the scenes screenshots and images provided by CS Unlimited that not only is going to shed more light and give us a little bit more information as to what this movie is going to be like, but also for those that do love the classic Jeepers Creepers movies, that being 1 and 2, not really counting 3, then you're going to be very excited to see the level of respect that this movie pays to the original movies, in which right now we're going to go on ahead and start off with the first image having to be shown on screen. And this is more than interesting to me only because the weapon in question is without a shadow of a doubt the same exact weapon and tool that the Creeper had used in Jeepers Creepers 2. Now, the ninja star-like object that consisted of actual human belly buttons that were on it appears as though it will once again be used in this movie, except this time, instead of the Creeper having to throw this at a bus, he's going to be throwing it at people. So some very unlucky, unfortunate person is going to have their eyes literally ripped out by the Creeper, and the reason why this is such an important thing is because it goes on to kind of shed more light as to the aggressiveness of how the Creeper is going to come off in this movie, which again is a good thing. You don't want to have the Creeper come off like a complete sideshow or a complete goofball, because if you want to have the Creeper have that same appeal as he did in the first movie, then he's going to have to be taken serious, and without a shadow of a doubt, this is, I think, a very serious situation, especially those that happen to be within that current proximity of wherever the Creeper is, whether or not he's hunting for people or they just so happen to come across him. Either way, the Creeper is going to be very aggressive and he's looking to take out anyone in sight, no pun intended. Now, to move on to the second image in which you guys can see on your screen right now, this is very symbolic to Jeepers Creepers 2, only because we saw how Jack was waiting for the Creeper to kind of reform. He went on to also inform the visitors that just so happen to be young teenagers about this bat-like creature and how it feasts and feeds every 23 days for 23 springs, and it's going to come back to life at any moment. So we don't know definitively if that's going to play a big part in this movie or not. We don't know for a fact if this movie is going to take place after the events involving Jeepers Creepers 2 and the battle with Jack. We don't know if this is going to definitively take place within its own continuity in retconning specific things, as of course the movie isn't even out for us to base this off of. So all we can truly do as of this current point in time is speculate. But if you guys look closely, we see the mummified variation of the Creeper before his supposed resurrection and return by the end of Jeepers Creepers 2, which I do love the fact that they're actually keeping the lore of both Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. Hopefully enough, they go on to explain specific things and key questions that many people have been asking for many years. I think the primary one being as to what this thing is, because Jack labeled it as the Bat from Hell. In the comic book variation, it was labeled and listed as being a so-called deity that the ancient people were worshipping, referring to the Creeper as the so-called dragon god. So if all else, I really do hope that someone ends up explaining this in this movie. But nonetheless, the only thing that I think a lot of us are truly waiting to see is if Jack and his son are going to be in this film. But nevertheless, as of course you guys can see here on your screen, there are these really weird and creepy dolls that are hung up above a doorway, and more interesting than anything else, these dolls actually represent the victims of the Creeper from the first movie, of course featuring the police officer that had his tongue and head ripped off. We saw Derry, of course, who was a big focus point of the first movie. We saw the officers that were murdered inside of the police department the minute the Creeper had made his way in and looking for Derry. So I think that once again they're paying tribute and they're adding a lot of lore to this. So perhaps maybe someone knows something about this. Maybe in fact the entire town or city in which this movie takes place in actually knows about the events that have happened and are kind of keeping these things around as a reminder. But at the same time, these dolls are very accurate, in which the victims had perished with holes in their stomachs and their intestines ripped out. So I doubt that these things are used as some kind of memorabilia. So someone specific has to be behind this, which I'm really curious to see if there's at least one person in this movie that's going to have any definitive proof of what this thing is and tracing it back to its origins, which excites me because we've never seen that before outside of being really close in the first movie and kind of learning more about what the Creeper is. But nonetheless, I think this is definitely a direction in which which they should go in kind of going back to remind people of the previous victims. Now again, I'm assuming it's 23 years after these said events have happened, and hopefully enough we get to actually see Trish Jenner, Gina Phillips, reprise her role and come back in this movie, because again, we don't know definitively if she is or isn't going to be a part of this movie, but it's only going to make sense if she does, only because of the small cameo appearance that she had made towards the end of Jeepers Creepers 3, suggesting that she is now going to round up somewhat of an army or somewhat of a angry mob to go after the Creeper, right? So I think that she should definitely play a big role, unless they have other directions and they have different ideas to kind of bounce off of in making another movie, or perhaps allowing for the Creeper to live and therefore getting a TV show or something out of the blue that doesn't really suggest the Creeper dying off, because again, we don't know if he can even be killed off to begin with unless there's something special used against him, which I'm hoping this movie does not go into any kind of direction where the Creeper is killed off, especially if you have plans on making another movie. If this ends up actually being the final Jeepers Creepers movie before somewhat of a hardcore reboot or something else happens, a remake, then sure. But I think that with what we see, especially with these dolls, there's no reason not to have Trish Jenner kind of come back and even see these things in reminding the people in that town and or city that this entity is not something to take lightly. So on top of this, we also have additional clips in which I'm going to show you guys right now that illustrates something very interesting, in which I want you guys to go ahead and take a look at. So after seeing this, you guys can be the judge on how aggressive you think the Creeper is going to be in this upcoming movie.
Creeper, happy Christmas. What a cracker. That's Christmas spirit for you.
Because I remember Jeepers Creepers obviously from a kid. Well, not a kid, but you know, from the early 2000s when I was in my 20s, which is very, very the year when you watch that stuff and you're like, I was very scared, and you know, I was very, you know, new Jeepers Creepers, and then having that land on my table, like, this is something absolutely amazing. I mean, very practical way to look at the whole theme of rebirth or being reborn is comes obviously from the fact that we jump into an IP or a franchise that has already existed, and we want to give it a new life, a new rebirth, and it works also through the story of the film. You hear like, yeah, this was the first film we saw when I went to first date with my, you know, now wife, and stuff like that. And I think it's always fun to hear that kind of stuff. So I hope that also it generates that kind of stories, and just bringing a fun new horror franchise and giving it a new life to a new audience. And that's my really the only real hope about this.
So there you have it, straight from the director's mouth. He wants to breathe a new life in this franchise only because I think he actually cares and believes in the property. However, if you also go back and you take a very close look at the Creeper kind of looks different, right? So Jonathan Breck, as many people have expected for him to be the Creeper in this movie, seems to have been recasted. Now, I may be wrong on that assessment, but either way, if you look at the Creeper's facial structure, if you look at the way the Creeper moves, he moves a little different, he reacts a little different, it looks as though his killing methods might be a little different as well, so we really don't know as to what we can expect from this variation of the Creeper, and there have been many fans that I have seen on forums and on Reddit that are actually concerned about what the director wants, because this director really isn't known for having a good or a quote decent track record in movies, which is a little alarming because if anyone's a fan of this franchise, they want to see a good director, a good producer be behind this movie and supporting it, a good cast, having good actors and actresses, having a decently high budget for a movie like this, because it has potential. So this movie, from what we've just shown with the clips, also illustrates that people are going to be thrown into the fire, they're going to be flung around wherever they might be at some festival or perhaps maybe at some carnival. Either way, the creeper looks like he's going to make his way over there, and once he does, people are just going to be slaughtered left and right. And this kind of reminds me of Freddy vs. Jason, when Jason went about slaughtering people in the cornfield and during this festival. And I really do hope that there's a reason as to why the creeper is doing this, because obviously these people aren't being flung and thrown around this place for absolutely no reason unless it calls for it, right? So the creeper is coming, and it looks as though perhaps maybe he's there to feed, which is going to be more interesting than anything else to see assumingly dozens and dozens of people, possibly even a few hundred, see this thing in the sky swoop on down, killing people. And that would only then spark the question as to whether or not they're going to get behind the rally in taking this thing down, or if they're going to run away in fear and not have anything to do with the creeper. So again, we are going to be keeping you guys posted with new information, updates, leaks, and spoilers once, of course, we get more info on this movie. So again, be sure to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, as well as also clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single video posted onto this channel, as well as also giving this video a big fat thumbs up by slapping that like button down below if you guys are simply stoked, ready, and excited to see this movie, because I think I speak on behalf of many when I say that I am, and with that, there's a lot for us to look forward to. So again, thank you all so much for being here, thank you all so much for your time, and I'll see you all down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, guys, and have a great day. Peace!